Hello and welcome. Now I will be covering a question about Xert later on in this video, but first I'm just going to throw up some footage that I've been doing in the last few weeks. I hope everyone's been well. I've been lucky enough to do a gravel grind recently in the Otway National Park. Now, I don't know how many people have done gravel grinds, but this was my very first one. Given that there's been few events this year, I thought I'd jump on my cyclocross bike and give this gravel grind event a go. Now, I scared myself silly in this one because I had tubeless tires running 32 mils and going down wet gravel with 10% gradients. So I'll be covering that in a later video, talking about my experience on what I would and wouldn't do again, because there's a few more events that I want to cover as well. Now, I will be throwing up some videos. I'll do some live streaming on Zwift, videos of outdoor riding, videos of me just making mistakes outdoors. So I hope the subscribers from Xert don't get too annoyed with my Zwifting. Anyway, I'm going to throw out some footage that I've done the last few weeks, and then I'll get into the question.
Here with the Great Otway Gravel Grind presented by Focus, 97 kilometres here. 3, 2, 1.
That didn't give me a flat.
And I had a dream that someday I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away. I've been on my own for a minute. Is it only me out there? Searching for the place to begin it. Is it me? Is it you? Is it fear? Standing on the line I was given. People stare and ask me why I'm here. No one seems to think that I fit in. But I don't wanna be like them. No, 'cause I don't wanna be like them. 'Cause I know that and I had a dream that someday I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away. I'd fly away. No one knew how low I was feeling.
Here we are at the freshness status chart. It's on the training status and form page, and I'll include a link in the description below. Now, just the basic things is the colors. So it's detraining, green is fresh, blue is fresh, yellow is tired, and red is very tired. Now, most of us know that when you're in tired form or status, you still train, but you keep away from the higher intensities. When you're in very tired, that's when you do either you don't ride at all or you do recovery rides. And hopefully those of you who are doing recovery rides, you're actually doing proper recovery rides. Now, the thing that confuses a few people on Xert is how you can go from very tired and then go straight to fresh. Because intuitively you think you have to go through these bars. You can't skip points. But the nature of form means that it's not linear. You don't start from here. Well, I'll explain. This is where you start from when you first start riding. As you develop strain, you'll move into the graph. But the thing about form is that you're not going to end up down here just because you've ridden for a year. It's all about strain. So on this top of the graph, on this x-axis, which, yes, I understand the axis explanations do confuse me. I'm not quite sure what these mean, but I think I understand the gist of the graph. So this area belongs to low strain when you're riding along LTP or below, whereas this area belongs to your sprinting power, so your peak power, and somewhere in the middle is your high intensity. So well, I wouldn't say sweet spot, but above threshold work. Now, as your form starts building and you start creating strain, you can end up around here somewhere quite easily, especially if you're doing lots of LTP work. So then you'll find that you go from red to blue rather than red, yellow, and blue. The way you get to yellow is to do a lot of high strain work. So your 4-minute power, your VO2 work. So if you're doing lots of VO2 work, you can theoretically, or mathematically, you can probably end up going from very fresh to tired. And then given the way form works, I don't think you could possibly, you'd end up hitting red, but I suspect it's more of a U-turn. You don't just travel in straight lines with form. I'll show you a graph to demonstrate that. Let's go to my form. Okay, so on this form graph, you can see here that I'm in green, I hit blue, and then my form here is minus 22. And then I start dropping back, and you'd think, okay, he's dropping back. You should be able to be blue because this, minus 6 is less than minus 16. But it's the strain, the type of strain that I've done here. I bet if I look back, I've done VO2 work here, whereas when I'm building this up, it's LTP work. So the same thing here. I've built it up with some low strain and then I've hit some high strain. It probably could have been an Xert race. I mean, a Swift race, I should say. We should get Xert races going. Yeah, so going back to the freshness status chart, I hope that explains why you can go from red to blue without hitting yellow.